Okay, so we did a railgun just like John and Seth's group. So we have the current that flows through this rail up through our armature, which is a washer, and across and down, which sets up a magnetic field that is coming directly out from in between the rails. And that force, you get the magnetic force crossed with the current. The current is flowing to the left, and the magnetic field is up, so it's left and up, so the force is outwards. And I tried this with a couple of different capacitor setups. The first way I did it, I had 300 volts with a bank of 6 capacitors, and every time I would fire it, there's this big black mark because it would discharge right there and the washer would get stuck, fused to the rails, and there's a couple of burnt washers around here that have aluminum that has been distributed across the washer because it actually electroplated the washers. And to stop it from doing that, it still does it a little bit, but I redid the capacitor bank. So I now have 2 smaller capacitor banks that I charge up to both 300 each, and then I put them in series into this. So now it has, right now I think I'm at like 540 volts. What's it at, right? 560? It can get to 600. I've only shot it once at 600, but most of the time it'll continue down the rail some distance. It's not very consistent. Twice I've had it drop out the end. I've never had it constantly accelerating out. It just kind of drops out, but that's as successful as it gets for this project.
If you ever have a burglar come to your house and you hold that up, I think they would still be
You just hook it to the doorknob.
The time there you go. The time that it left the rails wasn't continuing to accelerate. You think it's because you already discharged the capacitors?
Oh yeah,
so
it accelerates and then there's friction and there's no extra force pushing it.
So if you had more capacitors or something?
I would love a constant power source so that it would constantly have amperage pushing it the whole time, but it discharges everything in like 1/100th of a second. So there's not the optimum force pushing it. But right now, and unlike theirs, I have a forced injection. So it's sprung into the rails. The rails are constantly hot. There's no switch. So it's switched on by the projectile actually getting in between the rails. There's not as much as an air gap, so usually the spark this creates...
Oh man, had I known that.
The spark this creates is usually less and not as dramatically loud. And loading it is not the greatest of designs. Come on.
Yeah, John?
Yeah, I don't like that.
It'll hit the... I'll stand in front of it. I'll put my hand in front of it. I'm pretty damn confident it's not going to go anywhere. Woo!
Alright.
No, it moved about a centimeter.
Yes.
But
That's still
it doesn't discharge everything. I always end up with, right now I have 25 volts left over.
Yeah.
But the 500 volts with the capacitor bank I have is about 135 joules. That just get burnt up into nothing.
So,
With no appreciable change.
But I think you build something that can put a layer of aluminum on what is
Brass. Yes, it
Brass,
can
that's
definitely
good.
put a layer of aluminum on brass.
So do you think, does it have anything to do with the spacing between the two?
If I increase the spacing between the 2 rails, there's you get more force out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's over the distance of the separation distance. So actually going with a millimeter thick thing, if I went 2 millimeters, it actually gets twice the force out of it. So widening my rails is probably a better idea, but I didn't do that math until after I had already built this thing.
The only other thing that I was thinking would...
And I would have to keep the same mass.
Okay.
Like double the width, but keep the same mass.
But the key, one of the key problems in all of these is the